before they'll hire you, you have to sign a document that says you support diversity and inclusion movements on the campus. And those mean anything you say, anything you write, any opinion you have that would seem to question or undermine radical left-wing diversity and inclusion policies may be a fireable offense. I'm Dr. Duke, and this is Constitution Corner. Well, there are many ways and by many avenues which our constitutional rights are eroded. We've spoken a lot on Constitution Corner about how subtly and covertly the Second Amendment can be undermined, even around and above the way that state governments like Virginia's is coming after guns directly. Well, the threat is every bit as big, if not bigger, for free speech. In a way, free speech is the glue that holds the entire constitutional system together. Without it, to me, it's bigger. It's a more important thing than the freedom of the press. It's a more important thing than a lot of the other clauses of the First Amendment. Is this idea that we, as the federal government of the United States, are constitutionally bound to protect the right of people to speak, even say things that might offend somebody else. And that is being carefully eroded at universities and in high schools, middle schools all around the country. Our education system is one of the very worst things we have now with regards to constitutional values on so many levels. The American Constitution is being undermined in our elementary, middle and high school grades, our colleges. Kids are not being taught what the Constitution says. Kids are not being taught the intent of the Constitution. Kids are being taught that the Constitution was being writ by racists, and so therefore it must be ignored. Kids are being taught that the Constitution is an old-fashioned white privilege document that has been superseded by progressive thought, and they no longer need to pay attention to it. And we shouldn't be surprised to find that most schools are gun-free zones. Most schools have banned guns from the premises, public schools and universities, which means if you are a person who is mentally unstable and you have a gun, you know exactly where to find kids. You know where exactly you won't find guns, which is why so many colleges and so many schools are the sites of shootings. But I think what they're doing to the First Amendment's even worse. We know that now at the university level, faculty, before they can get hired at universities, are having to sign pledges that honor diversity and inclusion. In other words, before they'll hire you, you have to sign a document that says you support diversity and inclusion movements on the campus. And those mean anything you say, anything you write, any opinion you have that would seem to question or undermine radical left-wing diversity and inclusion policies may be a fireable offense. They might be able to get rid of you for not following what you've signed. These are speech codes, ladies and gentlemen. By conditioning somebody's hiring in the universities to a code of speech and behavior that basically conforms to the university policy and leaves you no wiggle room, no room to criticize. This is unconstitutional. This is a direct frontal assault on the First Amendment, but it's subtle, right? We're not asking you to give up your free speech rights. We're asking you to sign a document affirming diversity and inclusion, which means if you say something down the road that we don't like, we can punish you for it. So it's a backdoor way, really, of coming after the First Amendment. We see in the public schools, more and more schools telling parents that they are no longer able to criticize or to use social media to comment on or criticize what's going on in the schools. Recently, we had a case in Northwest Hendricks School District in Indiana where the parents who pay for these schools through their property taxes, the parents were given a code of conduct contract between the school and them. They weren't able to discuss this. They didn't have a voice in crafting this. They were simply handed by the Northwest Hendricks schools a code of conduct, and they were reminded, you do not have the right to criticize us in social media, on the internet, on the computer. You cannot criticize the teachers, the faculty, the administration, nor can you criticize our policies or our curriculum. Not only must you hand our kids over to the public schools in Northwest Hendricks, but you also have to surrender your right to even criticize or complain when you find us doing something that dramatically you don't like. This code of conduct is the exact same kind of thing we see in the universities. It is a way of forcing parents of kids who go to public school to give up all rights to those child's education. If you don't like the curriculum, and let's be very clear, who does? You don't like the kind of initiatives, the social justice, the radical sexuality, the endless promoting and pimping of transgenderism in your kid's middle and high school. Now you don't even have the right to criticize the school for it. And what they basically say is that if you do that, if you criticize us, if you have an opinion we don't like, you have violated the student code of the parent code of conduct. And so therefore we can prohibit you from coming anywhere near the school. We can bar you from your kid's public school, the one you pay for. We can tell you because you didn't like Common Core, or you don't like our third grade sexuality curriculum, or you don't like teaching transgenderism to 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds in preschool. You don't like that. That's a violation of our code. And so therefore we can bar you from the school. This is outright war on not just your kid's education, not just the welfare of your children, not your parental rights. At a more fundamental, basic way, these examples I have given you are an assault on the First Amendment. And of all the aspects of the First Amendment, your free speech. Honor the Constitution by understanding it. Go to thenewamerican.com and jbs.org for more info.